on this computer. All right, we are recording. Well, hey everybody. My name is Mark, as you know. So at Script Uni, we ran this course in 2019. The intention was in 2020 to make this a full-fledged course, but then COVID hit and everything went funny. So the goal is to make this a course either the end of this year or start of 2022. The only time this content has been taught before, again, like I said, was in 2019. It was really cool, a new idea, and received very well. So I'd like to offer it one more time before we make it a full course, and that is now. The idea is we're going to learn how to build SQL databases, tables, deal with large financial data sets, write all sorts of functions and procedures that can take raw data, manipulate them, and make them, put them in a very useful form. Then I'm going to teach VBA programming for those who do not know yet, and then kind of put the two together where using VBA, you'll call your SQL functions, pull in these aggregated data sets, build reports, and then produce PDF reports. The idea is you essentially become a full stack developer, as I've been doing for years at Morgan Stanley. The idea is you sit on the trading desk, you have all this raw trading data, and you turn it into beautiful reports. You don't need to engage IT, the backend developers, the reporting team. You do everything yourself, full stack, which makes you a very valuable employee because you have so many different skills and you're putting it all together to accomplish one task. It doesn't take you 6 months to a year like it would take someone in IT, or rather multiple teams, because you're just one person. You can kind of organize your own time. So let me share my screen. Yes, I want to share screen one. Okay, so I pretty much went through this. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to jump straight in and show you a report that I've been working on today. I basically built this from scratch in the past 3 hours. I think I gave myself a little too little time to really do a good job, so I only have the top half done, but I think you'll admit it's pretty cool. So I built this right now in Excel, VBA, and SQL. And I will get to the underlying data set in a minute, but I just want to show you how amazing this is. So essentially, you come here to this sheet. When you open it up, or rather, when the team that you're making this for, when they open up the sheet, everything will be blank. And I haven't set this up yet to allow blank, but that's a feature obviously we'll cover. But let me just show you how customizable this is. So this is the title of the report on top. And watch what happens. So let's say I want to deal with client 3 heads. Okay. You see the minute I select that dropdown, the title of the report changes. And client 3 heads wants the report that we call top trades. Once again, the top immediately changes. So this is a concatenation of all these parameters. And we can make this look really nice. But we're going to go back to what I had before. We're going to do portfolio, market value, and VAR, which is the value of the securities and the risk. And we're going to select from clients. Let's just do, well, actually, it doesn't matter at all. All right, we'll stick with 3 heads for now. What region would we like to run our securities on? So let's say client 3 heads. I'm sorry, I had to pick really obscure names so it doesn't sound like I'm using actual data. Okay, so what region? Let's say 3 heads trades primarily in Europe and the US, and they're really concerned how the Europe book is doing. So what I would do is you'd go there, select Europe from the dropdown. What sector? Okay, well, 3 heads, they trade information technology stocks. They also trade utility stocks. Let's stick with IT for now. And which trader? We have a bunch of different traders that have been trading for 3 heads. Let's just use all the traders for now. So you see these drop-downs are very flexible. I can select all, I can select one or multiple. Now we have a date range. So let's say I want to do from January 1st, 2018 till December, let's say December 1st, 2018. Okay, so we have an 11-month period over here that I'm doing this. Watch, and I pushed run report, okay? So you can see these numbers changed. The market value is in millions. The value at risk, which is a risk measure, is in thousands. They are the graphs look almost exactly the same, and I'll explain why when we do the course. But for now, you look over here at the metrics. So the current market value is 4.5 million. And sure enough, if we hold over this dot, we're close. I guess we can't get the very end. So this is around 4.5 million, the very last day of market value. And that's today, the end of this point. Now you look at the market value delta, that'll tell you how much the market value changed. Now we're at about 4 million. We started at about 40 million. So it shows you over here, their market value of three heads in Europe dropped $37 million. Now, if you're on a trading desk, this is a very concerning number. You can see over here, it's an 89% drop. That means this client has dumped 89% of their book with us, which means they're giving their money somewhere else. They're either closing shop, which is bad because we lose trade money on them, or they're going to another bank or hedge fund doing their trades there. Also very bad for us because we're losing all that business. So this is a really important report from that perspective. Well, you did all your analysis on three head. Now the head of the desk comes to you and says, hey, that's cute. I see we're at 4.5 million for three head. How are we doing with all of our clients? So you come over here, you select this drop down, you hit all, you push the button, and there you go. We're at 55.6 million. And you see the graphs changed entirely. As I mentioned, these do not change now because they're not automated yet. I'm actually working on the code right now, and they will be automated by the end of today or tomorrow. And I'll explain what these are in a moment. But this is pretty neat. So we see the market value, we see the risk, and we are completely flexible. Just for perspective, this is what I do at work. This is what makes me worth so much money and why the banks all want to hire me, because they just sit me in a chair and they say, Mark, we need help on the trading desk. We need help reporting. And I say, okay, talk to me. What kind of reports do you need? And they walk me through it. And usually Excel is their preferred platform. Sometimes they'll want it through Python, which is something entirely different. But in most cases, the traders and the salespeople use Excel the most. So here we are, and I just designed this. I'm kind of very good with Excel designs. That is either a natural talent or something you can learn. So I can show you how to do this. Obviously, this looks like a very professional report, and I did throw it together from scratch. But I can teach you how. It's not crazy. But the idea is this covers from the portfolio perspective, and this covers from the position perspective. So if you're doing analysis for a client or for the desk or for the senior desk heads, and they want to know what positions are driving change, well, this will show the top positions. This will show the bottom positions, and you can see all sorts of metrics at the position level. These will all get filtered based on the parameters that you changed. So really cool report. In a regular reporting team, maybe you'll design this, but then you just hand the design off to some other black hole or to some team. And 6 months later, this comes back to you. You're going to do everything yourself. So from a user perspective, all they see is this tab that says main. Really, there's a bunch of other stuff going on here. So I'm going to unhide. Here we have a raw data tab. Let's open that. And you can see here's the data that's actually driving the reports. And there will be more sets of data coming. When I automate the bottom thing, there'll be another 2 tables worth of data coming here. And you can make it much more. I've done stuff that have 20 different data sets. So that's the raw data. That's when the database get called, it dumps it here. And then, so let's say, for example, the current market value. How do I know exactly what date to look for? So I'm doing a max lookup. It's finding me the max date, and then it's looking at the raw data tab, and it's looking at all the market values and it's selecting the market value that had a max date. I will explain all of this in the course. Don't worry. The Excel, the VBA, the formulas, it's all good. Let's look at some other tabs. So here we have a parameters tab. And this tab has all the sectors, all the regions, all the traders, all the clients. It'll even possibly have all the tickers, depending on what you're looking for. And the idea is when the user opens up this Excel workbook, actually a code runs in the back that looks at your database at all the active sectors, regions, and traders. This isn't like static, that it's just a list. It gets updated when the workbook opens. And these lists will drive these dropdowns. So if I remove something from a list, it will no longer show up in this dropdown. By the way, you can interrupt and ask questions all you want. Then we have another tab here called SQL. And no, that's not what I'm looking for. database. Here you can see I set up my database, and this is me just testing that my database actually works. Again, I'll show you how to do all this, but these are parameters about my database. Now, where is my database? Because usually at a firm, at a big bank or a hedge fund, there's just server farms sitting in New Jersey somewhere. And when you do something like this, you're going to the firm's server and you're looking in their database. Well, in our course, we're going to set up a MySQL database right on your computer. This is what my database looks like. And first thing you do when you join the course, I'm going to show you how to set this up. I'm going to give you files that can load these tables. Let's look at one of the tables. So here we have a table called employee information. And if we look at this, we can see it has some dates. Again, I'll explain in the course. The role of the employee. Here we have traders. We have an executive. We have some operations people. What their position is. It even has, I think, salaries and salary currency, where they're located, their first and last name, stuff like that. You can see David Withers has 2 entries, but that's because first he was an analyst and then he got promoted later to associate. So I'll cover how all these tables work. Don't worry. This is it's many hours covering the SQL part of this. But when we have this data set, which talks about employees, then I have this data set that talks about our clients. You can see the client IDs, their names, the strategy of the client, what tiering, what region they're based in. And then we have a trade table, and this shows active trades that are happening. We have traders making the trades for certain clients, what type of instruments they're trading, how many shares they're trading of it, on what day. When you take all these tables and you kind of stuff them all together, which we're going to do, what you get is an enhanced data set. This is kind of like gibberish. It's like, okay, some trader traded some QSIB for some client on this day at this amount. It doesn't really amount to much. But then when you come here in Excel, like, this is really useful information. We see how the portfolio is doing, what kind of risk it's taking on, the duration and convexity, which are other risk measures, ticker specific information. And again, you look back here and you're like, I don't see that here. Well, that's because it's ingrained in all of these tables. There are different sets of data. This one has price information about tickers. When you put it all together and we take the QSIPs that we have that were traded and we multiply it by the close price, then you get the quantity. Let's say you traded 10 shares of Apple stock and Apple was trading at $500. That's $5,000 in market value. So I have to take the Apple QSIP on each day, multiply it by the close price, and then multiply it by the quantity. You can actually see in the code that I just wrote today. Where is that? Here. You can see right over here, this is what I do. I sum up over all the days, the quantity times the close price, and that gives me the market value. And when you look over here back in Excel, all you see is, I got these ones in here. All you see is market value. It doesn't tell you that I did this complicated, well, not complicated, but I did some multiplication in the background. You don't see that. It just looks really clean on here. And that's your job. Your job is to understand this complicated data set in the back end. We're actually going to build the tables. We're going to build functions like the one I just showed you, which prepare the data for this report. We're going to build a pipeline like you see over here, where you can connect it to this using VBA. So here is some VBA code, which is a totally different programming language. You can see over here, I set up connections to the database. And once I have my database connections set up, then I have these strings produced, which call the database. And once you set up that connection, in VBA, it knows how to connect to your MySQL tables. It runs that code that you did. It dumps the data on this tab. And then you have these kind of pre-canned reporting that is automatic and adjustable based on whatever you're doing. And the idea is, by the way, by selecting these different types of reports, you don't have to open and close new Excel sheets. You can just make different functions in your database that produce different types of data sets. And literally just by selecting a dropdown, it can change the way this sheet looks. And it'll change all the numbers. So you can just build different reports for different people on this one sheet and it looks great. And by the way, if you were to then go and try to print this, you can see I have it set up that it like perfectly fits on a sheet. I can expand that a little. The button's gone. Now I see a Script Uni logo. You're going to put whatever your company logo is there, obviously. And you could have a disclaimer on the backside if necessary or whatever. But it looks like really crisp and professional, even though like we know the back end looks, it's very, it has tons of data, it's complicated. So that's the premise of this course. As far as I know, something like this, a course like this just doesn't exist anywhere in the world. I'm the first one that I know of to kind of cover that whole scope in one course, going from the raw data set through the VBA, through knowing how to build reports, producing PDF reports. It's probably the least owned skill and the most desired skill. Everyone's learning Python now, which I strongly encourage. And if you haven't taken Python, take the Script Uni one, it's fabulous. But aside from Python, VBA programming and the ability to generate reports like this with SQL is an incredibly high demand, and not enough students, quite frankly, are learning it. So there are very few people like me who can come and just do everything by themselves. So it's pretty cool. Now, if you've taken the Script Uni SQL course or the Script Uni VBA course, you get whatever you paid for that course is completely deducted from this class. So I know there are a few people here who have done that, because we're going to be covered. This is essentially 3 courses in one. It's our new advanced SQL course, which isn't even live yet, but it will be within the month. It is our VBA course for finance. And then it's an advanced data reporting course, which we're going to add, which then takes those 2 skills, kind of mushes them together, teaches you how to build the connections, how to make this automating reporting, and tie a pretty bow on it. So that's what I got. The way we're going to do it is it's going to be 2 roughly 4-hour Zoom sessions. One will cover SQL, one will cover VBA, and then there's going to be an in-person live session. You're welcome to join in person. If you don't, it will also be on Zoom, probably another 4 hours. I don't know the exact timing. My aim is to get this all done by the end of the month. So we'd have to figure out timing with everybody. I generally like doing courses like this on Sundays. But if I need to do one during the week, maybe I'll break it up into 2 2-hour sessions kind of in the evening. Everything will be recorded and will be available on Script Uni. You'll get access to a new advanced data reporting course, which will have everything you need. There will be a homework after each lecture. You probably don't have to finish it by the time the next lecture starts, because that'll be pretty aggressive. But there will be homeworks due. I will be your TA. I will walk you through any struggles you have, help you with the homeworks, and we can discuss them in the next courses, the next live sessions as well, throughout. So I've been talking a lot. What questions have you got for me, if any?
I have a question.
Sure.
What is sort of the background of your ideal, like the people taking this course, like skill level, stuff like that?
Yeah, very good question. So the way I'm promoting it, you need maybe a 9th or 10th grade level math, and that's it. This is not going to be some complicated finance course. In the VBA part, there will be opportunities to cover some more advanced finance topics. Like I do cover option pricing or how to actually calculate value at risk. I cover that in the VBA course. But if that's too advanced for you in terms of finance, you're welcome to just not pay attention, because ultimately that will not impact this reporting part. The reporting part is very simple. And I can show you like the code that generated this, which is probably just about as complex as we'll get in terms of code. Like if you look at it, all you have to know how to do is a sum or an average. The most complicated code here is quantity times close price is market value. There's no like advanced finance techniques or understanding portfolios or how things are going in the market. None of that. It's a reporting course, so I don't want to make it too complicated from that perspective.
My question is more like technical skills,
Yep,
like Excel, programming, that stuff.
That's what I was going to get to next. I'm assuming 0 knowledge. So for people who know it, it might start off a little slow, but that's the way it is. I'm assuming 0 knowledge. No, obviously someone who's never programmed before, it'll take them twice as long to grasp this stuff, which is why it's being recorded. But I'm going to explain everything from the ground level up. If somebody has to Google something, I'm not saying it won't happen, but like 90% of the content, you should not have to Google. If you're stuck on something, it should literally just be, you know what, I should watch that again. Maybe it'll sink in, because I'm going to cover everything. Again, assuming nothing. We're literally going to load the tables together. I'm going to show you how, and we're going to start with very simple statements. as simple as this. Select star from table name, which just means take everything from that table. Like this is the first SQL thing we're going to do. And I'm going to explain what every word means, literally break it down step by step.
Yeah, another thing, Mark, would we talk about what decisions are eventually made based on these reports?
We could get to that in theory by the end of the course. That's not really the job of the person creating the course. I wouldn't say decisions being made is not the job. I would say more importantly, what the reports are being used for is extremely important, because as someone who owns the entire process, I'm just telling you as somebody who sits on a desk doing this, as someone who owns the process, doing work and not understanding why you're doing or what you're doing it for is a very unhealthy thing to do. I've seen people come to a trading desk, sit down, and just ram their face into the keyboard until what they were told to do gets done. And then the people they deliver it for after 3 months, like, oh, you know what? There's something better that just came out somewhere else. We really don't need this. But if you have that conversation up front and you really understand their goals, you might, as the person who's officially the developer, you might say, you know what? I actually don't see a value at all in the bottom. Like, this is what I would do if I saw this report. I would say to the head of sales, whoever asked for this, I'd say, look, I get it. This is very similar to what you're used to seeing, but I don't see the value really in having a bottom 8. And they might complain a little, and I'll say, no, you need one metric. I could put it over here. But if we delete this, I could probably free it up and do something much more valuable. I create 3 mini graphs like this, which show the breakdown by region or country or sector. And you can get a really good feel of the scope of all the positions. And like, if you push back in that, not only do you get to build something that's more meaningful to you and will be used more, but you get more respect on the desk as somebody who understands the business better. So I would
Okay.
say that's more important than understanding what decisions are being made, is what's this being used for.
Okay, but those queries are coming from the traders, what they want answered from the reports.
Generally, when you get a request to build a report like this, it has to come from more than just like a trader, because this takes a lot of time. So a trader usually has to get approval from the head trader. And then when you go to the head trader, you also want to be kind of proactive and go to traders in different regions and different desks and make sure you get input from everyone. So you don't build it for one person and nobody else likes it. You really
Okay.
want this to touch as many people as possible. But perhaps even more importantly, you want to be able to, on the interview or on your LinkedIn profile, if you show your final report, you want to be able to say, look, I'm someone who sits down, I get a holistic view of what you're trying to do, and I take what your request is and I work with you to make that the best possible request and then build you the best possible report based on that. And because you have your hand on the actual report and the data and like every little nuance, no matter what request comes your way to modify it, you can do it in seconds. If somebody says, I want a title change, if someone says, I want 9 positions, not 8, if someone says, I'd like a third graph, in a regular developmental cycle, the business analyst has to write down a spec. That spec has to get submitted to IT. IT has to go to the project manager who sets up meetings. Then someone will finally scope it out. The developer will find the week they have available. They'll do it. It goes to QA testing. Literally, to change a title would take like 3 months. It's crazy. But if you develop the tool, it'll take you 3 minutes.
Right. And what's the purpose of have you spent time understanding concepts like convexity, or are they required for the developer to?
For this course, it is certainly not necessary. I put it there because I'm a financial engineer, so I've done a lot of this stuff. So I put some risk metrics down, which are completely not necessary. Like for the scope of this course, you just have to understand that duration and convexity are metrics on our data. If
Okay.
you want to take it a step further and, get familiar with the different bond metrics, sure. I mean, you can do that. Same thing with the Greeks, like in the course, in the VBA course, we will cover the Greeks for options. Do you have to actually understand what they do? No, you just need to put the formula in and press a button and it works. Is it better? I mean, if you put it on your resume and you want to put down that you've built reports on the Greeks, then you'll have to understand it. But if you're asking about on the job itself, do you have to understand what everything means? The answer is absolutely 100% yes. I can tell you, as somebody who's built and owned tens of reports on various trading desks, they don't go to anyone else. They know you own the product, whether it's sales or trading. that you're going to get a private email or a tap on the shoulder, and someone's going to say, hey, a client's asking, how do we calculate this metric? And then usually I'll say something like, well, and I have to know the answers to all these questions. Well, it's the firm's policy to not give out our calculations, because then that gets out and either other firms are doing it or the hedge funds don't like it or whatever. But what you can tell your client is this: it's the percentage change over a period of time. It gives them close enough answer that they understand what it's doing, but don't give the exact formula. I mean, that's the way I've dealt with this kind of thing. But you do absolutely have to understand the metrics that are in your report.
All right. Now, one final query. Are all these reports you always construct from transactional databases, or you're ever required to create an intermediate layer or a warehouse?
I mean, that's a more technical question. I mean, I guess it depends on your job, right? There are so many different things you can do. I've had databases, transactional, sent to warehouses. I built my own ETL processes, which we will talk about, but we won't do, where you're doing this daily job in the morning. There's this automatic job that extracts from those databases and does all your sort of functions and spits it out into a table in a warehouse. And then you go to there to get it. Yeah, exactly. Like I've done a ton of that as well. We're not going to do that in the course, but I'll definitely explain how that process works.
Okay. And how about the new ones, associative databases and all? They are not taking over the.
It really depends what firm you're in, what desk, but ultimately the skills in terms of being able to query stuff, those skills are going to be around for definitely 5 to 10 more years, very strongly. Where will we be in 10 plus years? Maybe everything will be done in Python with data frames. It's possible. I don't know. I think the technological moves are happening a lot slower than the desk would like, or the desks in general would like. But there's no clean cut answer.
Yeah. So I understand all that. Slightly off track. Do you have a financial engineering course as well? Maybe not in the future. Or?
I have what do you mean by course? If you want to understand the finance of financial engineering, you can go to quantnet.com. My dean from my financial engineering program, he created a financial engineering course there. I think he calls it advanced calculus for financial engineering, but it's kind of a mush of advanced finance topics plus calculus. It's great content. I never watched the course. I can't tell you it's a good course or not. I have no clue. It's good content because I read his book and it's based on his book. Yeah, but the Script Uni as of now is just about programming within finance.
Got it. But can this raw knowledge straight away be used at a hedge fund? Like, how about the concepts of uncertainty, what value at risk can't capture, or the stat models can't capture?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that last question.
My point is just pure financial engineering, where we just build risk models. Are they adequate to trade at a hedge fund?
I missed your last 5 words. Are you asking?
I'm saying what knowledge beyond financial engineering, that's the academic coursework, is required to actually succeed at a hedge fund?
Well, first of all, that does have nothing to do with this course. So I don't know if we should be waiting here, but I would just very generally say that you asked way too general of a question. There are a million different positions at a hedge fund. And there are a ton of different topics within financial engineering. So depending on what role you get, you would need to take specific courses. The reason why I like this course so much is because no matter what you do, whether you're a financial engineer, whether you're a trader, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're in your reporting, you can build stuff like this and be immediately useful. I remember in 2013, I was applying to be a salesperson in the sales and trading desk at a global bank. And I sat down with all of my sales knowledge. I knew where the S&P was at. I had a stock ready to pitch. And the head of the desk, the first question they asked me was, how good are you with VBA? And I was so taken aback. I was like, pretty good. Why? They said, well, this is a new kind of hybrid role we're testing out. We want all of our salespeople in the future to be able to generate automatic reports themselves rather than having to go to IT. And then we hear about it taking so long and everyone's complaining. We just want to make our people smarter. So I was really excited to hear that, but that's kind of the motivation here. Like, no matter what you do, these skills will be extremely valuable in the world of finance.
Right. To get a foot in the door, and then you can seek the mentorship you require to proceed further.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Hey, Mark,
Thank you.
I have two questions. First is, I already enrolled in the SQL as well as the VBA course. I'm wondering how this course would be like compared to the other two. Are they complementary or they are, I just want to know the relationship between these.
Yeah, well, obviously this is going to be really, really cheap for you if you took both those, because I'm just going to subtract those costs right off. But this is good. Yeah, it's going to be complementary. There'll be a ton of overlap, but
Mhm.
like what you see here, this report, like we don't touch that in the VBA course. The VBA course is more focused on, modeling financial products, building floating rate notes, which is very close to interest rate swaps, and then option pricing. And then in the end, you basically build this whole functionality that can look at a portfolio, tell you which positions to remove or add to it, and what the risks are and what the market values are. But you're not kind of building all this automatic reporting and the tying it into MySQL. Like, we don't cover that. So it's like I said, it's putting a bow on those two things. And that way you can, on your resume, sure, you have, SQL and the ability to work with data sets, and then you have your VBA and the ability to calculate all the stuff. But then you can say, building automated reporting, full stack developing of automated reporting, understanding and building out data sets, and then generating automatic reports in VBA. You're showing your competence in both of those languages and how you can build something beautiful and new based on that.
Got it. And in terms of like coursework, if I do sign up, like just given like I want to finish the other two first, can I just, I guess like I can take that later just as a recording session versus if you're doing a live one now, probably I won't have time to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, most of the SQL and VBA will be just completely redundant for you and unnecessary. Sure, it'll be recorded and online and live. If you took those courses, you also get a pass on the homeworks for those courses, so you wouldn't have to do those homeworks either. Yeah, definitely the final one, the reporting one, is something you wouldn't want to miss.
Got it. Got it. And you mentioned like you will be subtracting, I guess, like those two courses, and then like I'll just email you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excited. All right, got it. And the second question, like you mentioned, you were the desk stress. Like typically, like do you typically get asked to make changes on the fly, or like the skill set? Because like sometimes I feel like I have very basic knowledge and can code at my own time, but definitely not to the degree of like just like as a programmer just making change on the fly. What type of like proficiency was needed?
So the number one thing I would say that is lacking in especially junior professionals nowadays, which is so valuable about being respected on a trading desk, is honesty. So just like perspective, if somebody said, oh, wow, someone's joining now. If someone said on a desk, hey, can you change current market value that we have? We'd rather we see it in quantity instead of USD. Now, sure, I'll have to like take out the USD and change it to quantity here. But literally, you know how much code I have to change to do that? I go here, I click on my code, and I just take out this. I just don't multiply by USD anymore. And I'm done. I hit enter, I compile it, and it's done. Now, at a big bank, you'd obviously have to test it first and then move it to production. But that's the only code change you have to do in the back end. And then, some graphical changes here. So a request like that, which by the way, those requests come plenty. That's super easy to do. So if someone asked me how long would that take, I'd say that's, I could probably turn that around pretty quickly. Would tomorrow work? And that basically buys me, I do have other stuff I have to do. So it'll probably take me, I say roughly an hour, realistically 15 minutes, because I have to make that change, move it to production, get sign off on it, and then change some of the text here and test it. So the actual code change, 30 seconds, actual work, 15 minutes. What do I tell them? I say it'll take an hour or two and it'll be ready tomorrow. But if someone comes and says, hey, instead of having 8 positions, can we have 5, and then a new chart? I'll tell them, look, you're asking me to completely restructure how this works. I know to you have to you have to explain things in their terminology. I would say, I know to you as a trader, it might seem simple. I literally just delete some rows, but it's not that simple. the way everything's intertwined. It's going to take a lot of time to restructure this. I'll talk with my manager. Realistically, I think we can get this to you in 2 to 3 weeks. I've never gotten pushback for an answer like that, ever.
Got it. Got it. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, what else we got? We're good. By the way, I just to demonstrate like how nice this kind of thing looks. This is a much earlier version where like wasn't filled in very well, but like I just printed it on my printer. It just looks really nice. Like I'd be proud, and I have been proud on the job building this stuff, watching somebody grab a piece of paper and run into like the head of the desk's office, and I take a glance. I'm like, hey, that's my report. And I've seen that done a lot of times. And then I get to go and brag. And, you know, when I'm talking to that senior desk head, I could say like, you know, I see a lot of people using this report, and they're like, oh yeah, that one. Yeah, it's great. It feels really good to kind of make such an impact. Well, that's it for me. I'm going to put this up and give everyone access to this so you can kind of rewatch this if you have any questions. Feel free to respond to any of the emails I sent to you. And we will do this as a class unit. I don't do that with the online courses, but this will be done as a class. So everyone's going to have everyone's email. We'll reply to each other's email. Maybe I'll make a forum and a thread where people can communicate that way. Possibly. No promises in that, but we're going to try to do this, have people turn their cameras on, get engaged, ask questions. So I'd like to be fun as well. So any questions right now, feel free to email me. And yeah, let's take it from there.
Okay. One final thing, Mark, would we have access to the assignments, the content after the class finishes?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, and by the way, when the actual course comes out, which will be like more polished and organized into different modules, everyone here or whoever takes the course will immediately get access to it. It might be in 6 months, it might be in a year, but you will get access to the full course as well once that goes live.
One
All right.
last, what are you doing for the data? This is just dummy data?
It is dummy data. I made it by like doing random numbers and multiplying them by stuff. Everything's dummy data. It actually took me like multiple days to get such good dummy data because I did like 2 years worth. I made up fun names. I made up security names. It's a whole big mush. Yeah, it's all dummy data. All right, cool. Nice chatting with you all. And let's communicate through email if you have any questions. All right.